Spiritual Learning Center, where you are empowered to create the life you desire. Our guiding belief is, by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. At Vida, we study and practice the teachings of the science of mind and spirit founded by Dr. Ernest Holmes. Now, here's today's message.
Hello, and welcome to the Vida Spiritual Connection. I'm Gary Takesian. I am a Science of Mind practitioner here at Vida Spiritual Learning Center, and it's my honor to bring you today's inspirational message. In 2023, our theme for the year is Renewing Mind, Opening Heart. And in July, our focus is Liberation, Freedom to Live Our Best Life. And we've had several good talks from both of our ministers. Reverend Sunshine has spoken on spiritual liberation and health liberation. Reverend Kevin has spoken on relationship liberation and financial freedom. And this week, I will be looking at environment liberation. And that's where we look at how we deal with life at home, at work, at play. And specifically, I want to look at liberation from the obstacles that interfere with achieving our desired goals. All right, let's get started. One of the great things that I like about the Science of Mind teaching is that we have very few rules of how we are supposed to live our lives. Unlike many other faith traditions, we don't have a sacred text filled with a bunch of thou shalt not do this or that within the context of living our daily lives. Our focus is more on what we can do than what we shouldn't do. Now, to be sure, we do have codes of conduct, especially for ministers and practitioners in relation to caring for our congregations. But in general, we do have a great freedom of thought. So in a sense, you could say that in studying and practicing the science of mind, we are already liberated from many of the constraints placed upon followers of some of the other spiritual traditions. By comparison, our science of mind teaching is more about empowerment than conformity. We don't learn what to think, we learn how to think. And we accept that we alone are the creative authors of our own life experience. We have the freedom not only to dream, but to bring our dreams into being, to use the power of our imaginations to visualize what we desire and use our science of mind teaching to help us reach our goals. And along with the freedom to create, we must also accept responsibility for the outcome, cheering when we succeed and acknowledging our part when it doesn't end up the way we had hoped. Embracing success is a no-brainer. Coming to terms with an unfavorable outcome, especially if we think we have done everything correctly, not so much. It can be downright deflating. When things don't go according to plan, it's part of our nature to look for solutions to the problem. And there can be many reasons why we have not gotten the results we expected. Human nature and our societal norms would have us looking around our environment for what obstacles got in our way. And yet, we know from our science of mind studies, as uncomfortable as it may be, that it is of little value to look outside of ourselves for the answer. In the realm of consciousness studies, the answer generally lies within. So when it doesn't turn out the way we wanted, what do we do then? Well, we return to our science of mind teaching, and we look within for thoughts and beliefs that may be in the way of bringing about what we want. One of the most important science of mind concepts is that our thoughts and beliefs are not cast in concrete, but are potentially flexible and changeable. We are taught that we can examine our patterns of thinking, weeding out those that no longer serve us, and replacing them with ones that do. That is the primary work of science of mind. Many of our thinking patterns do lie below our conscious awareness. We know that our subconscious mind is a vast storehouse of thoughts, beliefs, and memories. Some would say that everything we've ever experienced lies within our subconscious mind. And beyond our life experience, there is something more. The great Swiss psychologist Carl Jung added that our subconscious is joined with what he referred to as the collective unconscious, and that's the greater storehouse of common societal behavior patterns and norms that connect all of us together. This is consistent with our Science of Mind founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who called it race consciousness. Now, that's not racial, but regarding the whole human race. And to avoid confusion with racial issues, I like Jung's term collective unconscious. Now, society is filled with conventional wisdom as to what is possible and what is not. This wisdom, such as it is, gets passed down to us through our subconscious connection to the collective unconscious. It is in the realm of subconscious mind that many of the obstacles to our success reside. Without being aware of it, we can react to situations based on ideas that we ourselves have never consciously questioned, but unconsciously adopted, because everyone else reacts the same way. For example, we all have a natural instinct to avoid threatening situations. The fight or flight response is one of them. Another is the collection of fears related to what psychologists call self-sabotage. It's a natural fear reaction to perceived threats. And it's where that common phrase, "you are your own worst enemy," comes from. And there are several aspects to self-sabotage that I think are pertinent to what can stand in our way of realizing our desires, without our even being aware of their influence. One of the more disappointing bodies of fears and negative beliefs that gets passed down to us is the one that tells us that we are not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not attractive enough, and, well, you can fill in the blanks. Because doubting one's self-worth can be one of the behind-the-scenes reasons why things don't work out as we would like to have them. First, let's consider negative self-talk, which happens to all of us. It's that little voice on our shoulder that negatively questions or criticizes our behavior. And that voice can instill literally the fear of God in us such that we unquestioningly obey. One thing that we can do to neutralize its effect is giving it a name. I am reminded of our new CSL spiritual leader, Reverend Sunny Cantrell Smith, back when she was a practitioner at Namaste CSL in Long Beach. I was in one of her classes when she talked about her internal negative voice, which she aptly named Miss Vinegar Lips. And I have to tell you, that name has stuck with me for a long time. She pointed out to us that creating a persona makes it easier to dismiss. Now, procrastination is another self-defeating behavior, avoiding something that we don't want to do because of some buried fear. And the procrastinator's credo is always put off till tomorrow what you could easily do today. And when we put it that way, it does sound rather foolish. When deciding to put something off, ask yourself, why? It may take some digging, but there is a fear in there somewhere. Next on the list is perfectionism. And it is very easy to get caught up in trying to make things absolutely as perfect as possible before sending them out into what we may perceive as that unforgiving world. Well, Winston Churchill is quoted as saying, "Perfection is the enemy of progress." And for those of us who suffer from this affliction, me included, it's very real. Another saying about perfectionism is analysis to paralysis. And the truth is, no matter what we are working on, it's never going to be absolutely perfect. So get it out into the world. Let it go. And finally, Here are two self-sabotaging behaviors that are like two sides of the same coin, so to speak, and that is avoiding opportunities and overcommitting. In this situation, we either turn our backs on an opportunity or we take on so much that this new item is doomed to failure. Either way, we've given ourselves an out, a perfectly reasonable excuse for a lack of success. Now, it's important to remember that the roots of self-sabotaging behaviors are not generally conscious thoughts. These operate in the background of our subconscious mind. And when attempting to manifest our desires, we must keep in mind that when unfortunate outcomes happen, there is usually something buried deep within at the root of the cause. So we've looked at some of the obstacles that can interfere with our successful outcomes. Now I'd like to share with you what I like to think of as signposts along the way that tell me that I'm on the right path to realizing the results I desire. And for me, some of the best signposts are called synchronicities. Now, the term synchronicity is another concept introduced by Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. It refers to meaningful coincidences that occur in our lives that have no apparent connection between them. And the key is that they are meaningful to us. I like to think of synchronicity as an upgraded version of coincidence. And coincidence is often thought of as just random occurrences, while synchronicity is more than random. For me, it's like the universe tapping me on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, pay attention. I'm trying to show you something." An example of synchronicity would be when you've been thinking about someone you haven't spoken to for quite some time, only to have that person call you right out of the blue. Or maybe a friend tells you about a book you might like to read that you didn't know about. And later, as you walk past a used bookstore, there it is, right in the window. Now, those are just a couple of really simple examples. But when things like that happen with you, it's really time to pay attention. And as you become more aware of the synchronicities in your life, they will actually start to appear more often, increasing your awareness that the universe is at work in your life. Now, when we're able to uncover a thought or a belief at the root of what stands in our way, how do we get about replacing it with something better? Well, we make use of these changes in our thinking by using our spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. As a doctor prescribes treatment for a physical ailment, we give a spiritual mind treatment to change a specific thought or belief that is no longer serving us. We begin the treatment by acknowledging the singular power and presence of Spirit, the one divine mind that has brought forth all that exists. And since each of us is a part of all that exists, we then identify ourselves as in unity with Spirit. That which Spirit is, we are also. We are also often referring to this as being one with the divine. And in that state of mind, we have recognized Spirit as the one power and presence and stated our unity with Spirit. Then it's time now to declare and affirm that which we desire, as though we do so, though it's already existing in our experience. The New Thought teacher and writer Neville Goddard called it living from the wish fulfilled, seeing ourselves living and experiencing the fulfilled object of our desire. And as we see in our mind's eye our wish fulfilled, our natural response is one of gratitude. We give thanks for knowing the truth of our manifested desire. We conclude our treatment by releasing the prayer into the action of the universal law that takes our desire and brings it into manifestation. Now, while we're on this subject, part of what I always give thanks for also is this very science of mind teaching. Through it, I have been able to refine my thinking from a place of believing that I was simply a victim of circumstances to now knowing that I am truly the creative author of my own life experience. And you know, I see this as a true example of liberation. And I'll leave you with this. And you've heard it before from others, I know. If I can do it, so can you. And so it is, and now it is. Amen.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vida Spiritual Connection. Please visit our website to submit a confidential prayer request. While there, sign up for our weekly email and receive the latest information for events, classes, and meetups. Remember to subscribe to Vida's YouTube channel, click like, and click the bell to get notifications. You can also find Vida on Facebook and Instagram. Whoever sows generously also reaps generously. Giving is a spiritual practice. As you bless the world, you are blessed. Your financial contribution to Vida Spiritual Learning Center is an investment in your spiritual education and flow. Your contributions support your spiritual growth and the show, so it's a win-win. Use the link on our website, drop a check in the mail, or Zelle your contribution to 562-928-6460 or to vida@vidaslc.org. Thank you for your generous support. Have a wonderful week and see you next time for the Vida Spiritual Connection.